This is Kit or Miss. I am Matt Dick, and we are diving into the Premier League once again this week. We are looking at the top 10 kits in mine and Callum Rankin's opinion. Callum sitting in once again for Phil Delves as we run through the best kits on display in the Premier League this season. Now, I already know, based on last week's episode, that we're going to disagree quite a lot because I thought we would have quite similar opinions. Turns out we don't, which is great. Callum, great to have you back on the show. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. It was good fun last week, so yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's go for it. As I mentioned, your bottom 10 was quite different from my bottom 10. I imagine our top 10s are going to be quite different. Nottingham Forest and Everton were two that featured last week quite heavily. Not a fan of those, but most of the other ones we disagreed on, so it'll be interesting to see where you have positioned ones I didn't like and vice versa. So let's dive straight into it. In at number 10, where are you heading off to?
So we're going some new boys, and I think we said last week, great to have them, I suppose, back, but I don't really remember them being there at Coventry, back in the Premier League. We said last time there was a range from between kind of 7 or 8 and 13, 14, 15 that you could have flipped on the head and you wouldn't have cared. This was one of them, I think, for me. So I think they were 11th for you. So not too different. 11th or 12th for you. So not too different. It's quite an offensive pattern, I'm sure, for Coventry fans to an extent. It's red and white stripes as opposed to blue and white stripes as opposed to their normal sky blue. The pattern in it, big reveal for you. The pattern in it is the celebrations of their 87 FA Cup success, and it is actual people. If you zoom in far enough, you can. It is actual people. It's kind of AI generated people somehow in a crowd celebrating the 1987 FA Cup win. So again, it's a relatable thing. We've spoken about this. It's marketing nonsense, but it's relatable enough that you can say, right, okay. I was there.
How far in do you have to zoom?
Very far in. And believe me, I was like, what? But I thought, is it like confetti? Is it something? But no. Eventually, I was like, oh, there it is. I can make out someone's head. So yeah, you do need to zoom in quite a bit, but it is that. So again, quite a relatable thing. So I'm not offended by it. Despite it being it's not even a pattern, but I'm going to just keep calling it a pattern because it's just a picture. Mm-hmm. Right? I like that they've still got the original badge. It could have been easy to say, we need to market ourselves properly. We need to do a circular badge and change it all. It's the original badge. They've not taken any colour out, Man City. They've left it in. So yeah, I think with all that made it better than probably it visually looks in the first place. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I think could have maybe changed is Monzo. I know Monzo's orange. I know the brand is orange, but it's a bit orange. On the kit, it's the only orange thing in there apart from the fire underneath the phoenix. So on the badge, it's the only orange thing in the thing. So yeah, maybe that was the thing that could have been changed, but yeah, this was one that I had kind of flirting with relegation, if you like, at first, and then the more I looked at it and the more I read into it, I was like, do you know what? There's enough there for me to say that's actually all right. Yeah. So yeah, not one that I would necessarily run out and buy. One thing that I've seen on a lot of, or all the striped kits is on the back they have to stop the pattern to put the numbers in. I don't know if it's a rule or if it's just they do to make it easier, kind of for whatever reason it would be. So yeah, I'd love Phil's thoughts on that in a future episode if we can. So, but then on the back of it, it becomes just the picture of the people, which then becomes really weird. Certainly up close when you're actually seeing people. But yeah, I don't know if that's a rule or not. So yeah, Coventry, where we're starting, much better the more I looked at it, I think it's fair to say.
Right, well, there we go. I wasn't sure what the pattern was, but apparently it's people celebrating the success in the FA Cup. So well done, Humo. Gone a bit different. So Coventry are Callum's top 10 entrant. For me, at 10, I've got Bournemouth. We discussed on last week's show the controversy about the sponsor. We're not going to dive into that too much again because, as I mentioned last week when you mentioned it, Callum, I can almost see past the sponsor. I don't mind that it's a big circle. I don't mind it too much. It's for me, it's not as controversial, not as outrageous as others believe, and that's okay. That's my opinion completely. As I said last week, Bet Vitality loving the coverage. I think they've swapped to Hummel this year, and I think the way they've incorporated the gold is really clever. The gold chevrons, the gold on the shoulder, the gold around the badge, and also the Hummel badge is gold as well. I think the gold trim kind of sets it apart, which is really nice. So I'm a fan of it. I think you mentioned as well it's a throwback to the 1936 kit as well within the reds. Again, you won't see it when you're watching the match, but when you zoom in, it's a nice little feature. So I again, it's within that bracket around the middle. I don't think you put it much higher because of the sponsor. But for me, it's not that egregious, but I know other people have found it very offensive. So Bournemouth are number 10 for me. Number 9, Callum, where are we heading off to?
We're going to the champions. Quite the fall from grace for them, 1st to 9th. Arsenal's... Look, it's a decent kit, right? I'll say that straight away. There's a lot to like about it. But I think it's another one of those home kits that it's difficult to do too much with a kit that, generally speaking, needs to have a red body and white arms. And look, could they go red arms? Maybe they've done so in the past. And there's a nod to one of them on the 3 stripes on the shoulder, which is one of the things that I really liked about the kits. The 3 stripes on the shoulder are 3 different shades of red/maroon. One of them, I think, is a nod to their last season at Highbury when they played in that dark maroon with the gold O2 logo. Great kit. A great kit that was. The collar and the cuffs, they match. Big fan. But also look, it's quite hard to work out again from the market and spiel. It's 20 years at the Emirates, and the collar and cuffs are kind of I think they're the structure of the architecture of the stadium with it. So again, maybe it's a bit of a stretch from a design point of view, but it's a relatable thing that you can say, oh, okay, right, like the Ipswich's one, for example, or Everton's from a few years ago, with the design of the stadium being part of the kit. I'm a big fan of that. But I think overall it was just a bit of a nothing in the middle. Just a red Arsenal kit. One thing that I had written down was maybe could they have taken some of the pattern from the collar onto the body of the kit potentially. Like if you're going to celebrate 20 years at the stadium, why not make it more obvious if that's what you want to celebrate? I think there was a bit more they could have done, in my opinion. But overall, it's just a non-offensive Arsenal kit, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I agree. I do have it much higher on this list. I think I've put it much higher because there's not many really standout kits in the home kits this year. I think there's some really nice kits, but there's none that everybody's going bang. That is hands down the best kit of this year's selection. So I've got it much higher, which we will come on to. For me at 9, we've got a shirt you mentioned last week, and I've gone for Brentford. I quite like this Brentford kit. Again, as you mentioned, you can't do too much with stripes unless you go full Newcastle or Brighton, which I think they've tried something ambitious and it didn't work. I don't mind it. It's not offensive. I think the thing that saves it is the hot honey yellow. Really tapping into the B theme, which actually, if they hadn't, it could have been right down the bottom. If they just kept it black, then it wouldn't have been a great kit. But tapping into that yellow, it's just a little spot. And I think what put it in the top 10 was, as you mentioned last week, the way they've gone around the Joma badge, the way they've incorporated Indeed into the kit with going around it in yellow. I think that's really clever. It's a kit where you can tell they've thought of the small details, and that extra bit of thought has really worked with the little B on the back. I do agree with you that the stripes at the sides probably they aren't. I don't think they're all identical, and those with OCD might struggle with it. But it's a nice kit, and of course you've got to factor in that it's a kit for the next 2 seasons because they've gone back to having 2 season cycles, which as a kit fan I'm a bit gutted we won't have a new Brentford kit next season, but I also agree with the principle behind it. So I quite like it. So for me at 9, Brentford, non-offensive mainly, unless you've got really bad OCD when it comes to accurate and matching stripes.
Yeah, or really hate bees, I suppose.
Oh, I hate bees, yeah.
Yeah, I think the good point in 2 year cycle. I think I totally agree. I think it's a great thing from a fan's point of view, and there's a few clubs, lower leagues in Scotland, that have done it as well, and it can help people that want every kit but can't do it every year. What I do think is maybe a little bit odd is that they've got an away kit out as well. This year as well, if you're going to do it in 2 year cycles, stagger it.
Alternate.
So you can always buy a kit. You can maybe always get that income potentially. But I agree. It wasn't anywhere near my favourite, but unoffensive. The yellow wasn't doing it for me, but yeah, it's fine, I suppose.
Yeah, and we're in this sort of bubble in the middle of mid-table, just fine teams. At number 8, Callum, where are we heading off to?
I'm going for, this might be a controversial one, but I'm going with Leeds. Ooh. I like it, right? I think the Red Bull logo works quite well in it. I think maybe could have toned down the red slightly, but I like the stripes. Look, Leeds play in plain white, right? So again, what can you do without taking away from what a Leeds kit is meant to look like? Mm-hmm. And thin stripes that incorporate the rest of the colours in the badge is a really good one. Look, if it was pinstripes vertically, I'd probably put it much higher, and we'll come on to pinstripes. Right. But yeah, I think it's quite smart. I'm not too offended by it as well. There's a few comments that I saw on their announcement post on Instagram of fans saying that they did not like it, which okay, fair enough. It's their club, but it just gives it something extra. I think the last few years they've maybe had changed colours on the 3 stripes on the shoulders. They've had the blues and yellows incorporated into that, which I don't think they have anymore. But like the collar and cuff are blue and yellow mix. The pinstripes horizontally are blue and yellow. Part of the badge are the colours of the club, which I think it's celebrating 400 years of Leeds as a town centre, something like that. So there's a little bit of a historical nod, but probably not actually brought into the design of it, would be the argument. So okay, if that's your marketing spiel, how does it translate into the kit? So this was much more of I think visually the kit looks really smart, rather than there's a really nice story behind it, and I can see what they've tried to do to incorporate that into it. So I just think it's a decent kit, and for something you can't do much with on white, they've made a pretty good crack at it.
Yeah, no, I am a fan of it. I'm going to discuss it later on. I think if you're a fan of the pinstripe in blue and yellow, maybe check out the Everton away kit.
Okay, interesting.
It's not as nice as the Leeds one, but it does have the pinstripes. So with your current pinstripe fetish, you might enjoy it. I'm going to touch on Leeds a little bit higher up my rundown. At number 8 for me, I've gone for Aston Villa. Now, when I first saw this kit, I was like, "Oh, they've had a stinker. This is going just above Newcastle." And then it's grown on me. I've seen a couple of shots of them wearing it in pre-season, and actually, it's grown on me so much so that it's sneaked into the top 10. I think the balance between the white and the blue is probably just about right. Maybe they could have. I don't know how they would have got balanced it a bit better, but I think it's okay. What sold it for me moving so high, actually, I think they've been playing in pre-season in blue shorts. And if they are playing in blue shorts, then that's a big sell point, moving it into the top 10. Because you could argue put more blue in there. For an Aston Villa kit, you want to see claret and blue. So if they're playing in the blue shorts, then that's enough as a whole kit to move it into the top 10. So seeing the pictures of them wearing blue shorts was enough for me to go, yeah, that's actually quite smart. It's a different concept for Aston Villa, but I think they get away with it. So for me, I've put it into 8th. I don't think it could sneak much higher for me, but I think it's pretty clean. It could change depending on who they get as a sponsor. We mentioned Newcastle. They'll receive less this year because they've missed the deadline, which I would love to find out. Surely they know when the deadline is way in advance. They knew that they were going to have to replace betting companies. What happened? But maybe if they had to wait for if they're going to get Champions League and it had to be a sponsor that fit with the Champions League. I don't know. It looks okay without a sponsor, but I imagine this will be one that does need one at some point. So we'll wait and see how that happens.
Yeah, listen, we'll come into my thoughts on it in a bit. I have written at the end of my notes, it might get ruined by a sponsor, but for now I love it. And that's pretty much how I feel about it. It's one of those that I think it's one of those kits that the sponsor needs to blend with the kit to keep it at that level because it's so clean. So yeah, we'll definitely come on to it for me later on. I'm a fan of it for sure. Side note as well, I've just looked at the Everton away kit. It's really nice. I do like the pinstripes.
I thought you would. So in at number 7 on our home kit rundown, the top 10 kits in the Premier League, we're up to number 7. Where we're heading off to, Callum?
We're going to Man United. For me, as a United fan, again, not much you can do with a Man United kit. Yeah. Is there? It's red, it's got white in it, it's got black in it, and you don't think United fans would let you touch the badge at this point. Yeah, so I think it is a nice kit. I like the collar. I'm a fan. Like our home team has a collar this season, and I love it. So yeah, I like the collar. One thing that I did note, because I did have this higher, and then I saw on the pro version of the kit, the collar where you can actually fold it up only goes to about halfway around your neck. The back of it is not a collar. Like we're not all going full Cantona, right? But why? Like, is it a comfort thing? I don't know. I know players don't really like collars. I know people don't really like buttons on it. This one doesn't have a button on it, but there is one thing that does. Yeah, I just don't know why the collar wouldn't go all the way around if you're starting with it. Why not make it? I think the non-pro version, like the fan version of it, it looks like it might because the pattern on the collar goes all the way around.
Right.
But yeah, just like collar and cuff match. It's a really clean kit. I like the white Adidas looks so much better for me than the black Adidas that they've had for the last last few seasons, I think. Like with white stripes, white shorts, black socks. It's much more of the United that I remember growing up with the kind of white through it that they've maybe missing the last few years. So they claim it's a tribute to another FA Cup triumph from the 70s, which is quite a theme for the last this season. A lot of FA Cup win nods across teams. Certainly teams, maybe with the exception of United, teams that don't often win it, so are celebrating a 50 years or 25 years, whatever, since a big event in the history. So yeah, non-offensive, really clean, big fan.
Yeah, and I think this is a year of home releases that having a clean kit can get you quite high up a rundown like this. I'm going to come on to United fairly soon, but I completely agree with what you're saying. For me at 7, I've put Ipswich. You weren't a massive fan of the Ipswich kit, were you?
Not at first, but it did grow on me because the design of the stadium through the pattern of the kit. And again, it's a relatable thing, and that's why I keep going on about that. I can relate to what that means to a fan, even though I'm not a fan. So
Yeah, see, I think it's clean. I like it. I like how they've included the diamond pattern, which is linked to the stadium architecture, as you mentioned, and we'll have more on architecture later on. The wee band of white under the arms splits it up nicely. I think it's been well put together. I think it's a really nice, solid kit that's not all singing or dancing, not doing anything fantastic, but it's a nice solid number from Umbro, which is nice. There's been some stinkers from Umbro recently, so just having a nice solid good kit is nice, and hopefully we can have some good results in it as well, because it's nice having it switched back. I am a fan of having the promoted sides. I'm actually quite pleased to have back up Ipswich, Hull and Coventry. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can bring this year. I think all three have the potential to be really interesting to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing this on the pitch. I don't think you will see a lot of the diamond pattern,
no.
but it's a nice idea to bring into it. And as you said, the nod to the stadium architecture. I'm not so keen on the under the night lights at Portman Road. I don't think of night games at Portman Road, if I'm honest. Surely Stoke probably could get away with that, but everybody else probably not. But the using the stadium architecture is a nice idea. So at 7, I've gone for Ipswich. So just missing out on your top 5, Callum. Who misses out?
It's one that you mentioned last week. I'm going with Fulham. Now, I know that you are not a fan of white kits until you are. As a general rule, you hate them until you like them.
I've deliberately tried to avoid saying it.
Fair enough. Well, I'm going to say it for you. So yeah, I really like this kit. I think the black, again, I'll go back to saying collars and cuffs, like the black with red collar, the black with red cuff, the match, it's really clean. Look, they're nonsense about what is it they said about their club's motto of "We live by the river," which I'm assuming comes from the London Calling song. Tribute to the heritage and spirit, ties to the River Thames and all that. Look, I'm not seeing the River Thames through that kit, but what I am seeing is actually quite a nice pattern. You could have just said we made quite a nice pattern. That would have been fine. This is one of the kits with the 2 sponsors that I've seen. They've got the ClickHouse one, which we don't know what it is. We could have Googled it, but we decided not to, clearly.
Yeah.
And the one that I've seen for kids' kits is Royal Caribbean. And it's just the anchor of the Royal Caribbean logo, which I really like. I actually prefer it with the Royal Caribbean logo than the other one. The only thing that I think for me that took it down, because I think this could easily have been top 5, top 3 potentially, because it's just so neat and clean, is the sleeve sponsor. I don't know who it is. High Bob, I think it is. But the high is in a speech bubble that's pink. Now again, we speak about sponsors blending in with kits. Why couldn't it be the same red shade? Or why couldn't it just be a negative white and black on it potentially? So it's the only thing that kind of dragged it down slightly, which is a shame because it's not Fulham's fault to an extent. That's the corporate logo they've chosen. But yeah, for me, proper clean kit. I saw that and I was like, yeah, I would happily have that in my wardrobe for sure.
No, there. I wasn't. I wasn't offended by Fulham. I think they could be a side to keep an eye out for. I don't really know how Arbeloa is going to get on at Fulham. They could be great, or they could be right down the bottom. Thinking from a football perspective, that they could be quite interesting to see. So,
lovely big new stand though.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure in 20 years' time we'll see it integrated into their home or away kit. Cause...
I thought you could say into the Thames because it's so close to it. Potentially, 20 years of the new stand, whatever it's called. We'll see that design.
Yeah. So for me, number 6, I have gone for a kit that when I saw it was leaked, and I was like, oh my goodness. They have had an absolute stinker, and their away kit's very much Marmite. And then when it was actually officially released, I went, I'm going to have to evaluate my perception of this. It's the Sunderland kit. Now, this is linked to the 1937 FA Cup win, including using the badge from that time, which I bet you'll be very pleased isn't circular, Callum. It is an actual badge shield, which is a really nice addition. I think it actually looks really nice. The multicoloured collar is a nice touch as well. It seems to have gone down very well with fans. They're saying it's one of the best kits they've had in a long, long time. Even said someone saying it's the best ever kit. Sure. I think because it's such a... Well, is 90 years a big celebration? I don't know. I think they've just got excited because they're in the Prem and they've done something with Hummel. Fine, celebrate it. You deserve to celebrate it. And I think the kit actually looks really nice. As you mentioned, I don't think they're going to have a sponsor on this one, and I hope they don't. Even just seeing the leak with the Premier League badge, I'm going, oh, that's... I know you've got to have it for reasons, but actually, it's probably going to be better without it. It's like when United and City played that, and they played a match using the anniversary kits and had nothing on it apart from the number, and you go, yes, that's great. And they obviously can't get away with it full season for Sunderland, but it's a very, very nice throwback, and actually one when you see the official photos, you go, yeah, you've done it well. When you see the leaks, you go, oh, that's not great, but actually the official photos looks great. Xhaka looks great in all the photos.
He does, doesn't he?
Keeping him out for a season and keeping away from Chelsea purely for the market material for that kit is an absolute genius idea. So, I think it could be a kit that you could happily wear. It does sort of sneak into streetwear quite comfortably. So I've had to reevaluate it. I think they've done pretty well, Hummel. It's from what the reports are saying, it's a kit that Sunderland fans want to get their hands on because of the way it looks, but also the nod back in time as well. So well done to Hummel for their Sunderland kit. It's sitting at 6 for me. At one point it was down to 19th, so it could have snuck higher, but I've got it at 6.
Yeah, listen, we can talk about it later on. I think for me, I like this one.
Okay, that's enough for a tease. This is Kit or Miss's top 10 rundown of the best Premier League kits, the best home kits. Last week we looked at our worst kits, so if you haven't heard it yet, do go back after you've listened and watched this one. Do find us on YouTube, find us on your podcast platforms, and send us a message. Whether you agree, disagree, we would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, ping us a message on socials, or email us at kittermisspod@gmail.com. Callum Rankin is our special guest this week, sitting in for Phil Dells as he continues to enjoy his holiday. Callum, we're into our top 5 kits of this year's Premier League season. Who is at number 5 for you?
We are going to one that I can't remember how low you had it, but you had it very low. It is Chelsea. Now, I have written in my notes that this might get ruined with a sponsor, right? Now, it might get ruined because of the badge, the embossed full logo that they've got. Listen, it could have been smaller, right? It's a bit big, but around it, you've got quite a nice pattern. I don't know exactly what it is, but visually, it's quite clean. It might actually, if that had been the pattern all the way through the full kit without the badge in the middle, I think it could have been even higher. First time I saw this kit, I sent it to our friend who's a Chelsea fan, as like, love it. Now, the more I've looked at it, I've maybe putting it a little bit lower than I had it at first view, mainly because of the massive logo in the middle. But it's so clean. There's no sponsor. The collar, the button on the collar. Like, I'm not a big fan. And you spoke about yellow piping and the Everton kits and the Brentford kits. I'm not a massive fan of the yellow, but I can relate to Chelsea having yellow kits in the past and yellow piping through their kits. And kind of Zola, Dennis Wise, and Co with the blue with white down the sides and yellow through it and stuff. That I understand why yellow sits in that kit more as much as I do with Brentford and Everton, but I like this more. I love the Lion only badge. The piping's really thin. Yeah, I just think it looks really clean. And for me, a button on the collar, I don't know what it does, but it just adds something for me, in my opinion. So yeah, Chelsea for me, like things that could have made it better, but overall, very clean kit. Very impressed.
Yeah, as you heard last week, I couldn't disagree more. If the badge was smaller and not embossed, maybe if they're going to go all out, made it yellow, sat in the middle where a sponsor would be, would that be more egregious? Or do you think if because it's embossed, we saw this during the World Cup, there was a lot of embossed kits that unless you watched it in ultra high definition, even then you didn't even see the benefit of the embossed pattern, like the England kit. It was a nice enough kit, and the more I saw it, the numbers actually really helped that turn into a nice kit. I just don't. It seems to be a trend at the minute to emboss a pattern on it, but then if you don't see it, what's the point? That's my whole thing with embossed patterns. For me, the Chelsea pattern is too big. It's way too big. If they'd shrunk it and used the yellow through it, maybe like the outline of the line in the middle of it was. There's things they could have done for me that would have made it a more visually standout kit, and I don't agree. But hey, that's what this pod's all about. Yeah, it's just I don't know if it was 19th for me. I just don't like it, and I might change my mind once we actually get to see it on the field. Once the Premier League actually kicks off, it might change my mind, but I doubt it. I just now have got the scarring image that they could lift the Premier League with this kit, and that would just be horrific for me.
Oh, settle. They've signed Danny Welbeck and Jordan Henderson. They're not going to win the league.
Danny Welbeck going to file into the title. Right, so for me, at number 5, I've got Man United. You just mentioned your thoughts a wee while ago about Man United. I think it's a smart, clean kit that's done enough to get into top 5 because of the quality or lack of quality of the other kits around it. The only thing for me, I was looking at the market spiel and saying it's inspired by kits from the 70s. I think there was 4 kits from the 70s that were inspired by having thick white trim around the sleeve. When you look at the pictures of those kits, it looks nothing like what they've said it's inspired by. And I was like, well, if it's inspired you, why are you not actually matched what it's meant to be? So that's why it's dropped to 5, because it's not pronounced enough if that's what they're aiming for. But it is an Adidas template done well with. I think the collar looks nice in the pictures, but if you're saying it doesn't actually fully flip up, then what's the point in the collar? But it's a clean United kit, and that there's not much more you can say about it. But it's an Adidas template done well, simply.
Yeah, it is. I forgot to mention when I was talking about it as well. The players' version of it, I think, is nicer. I think the material of it, because of they talk about airflow and stuff like that. The material does, so it does actually have a bit of a pattern, almost like it's like a triangular pattern almost through it, which actually looks really nice. But it doesn't have that on the replica version. And as much as I like it, I'm not spending 100 and whatever on a football kit that gives me better airflow for me sitting in the house. So yeah, I do think there's a subtle pattern in the other one, in the Pro one, that you don't get in the other one, which made it look pretty cool. But yeah, I agree. It's just a clean kit that doesn't have to try very hard to be better than some of the other ones.
Yeah, definitely. Right, so just missing out on your top 3, sorry, at number 4. Where are we going to?
Going for my pinstripes. Finally getting to talk about my pinstripes. Brighton home, I think, is so smart. I really like it. I like the kind of literally written down pinstripes, big win. I like the stripes are kind of dashed. I don't know what the design's quite meant to be on it, but there's like it's like dashes going down, really clean. Yeah, I just don't think there's much to say. It's such a for me, it's such a smart kit. Like the collar being white. One thing they could have done, it's kind of they could have done the cuffs being white as well as to match the collar, and the kind of box around the Amex logo for me is bigger than it needs to be. Certainly at the sides of it, I don't think it needs to be kind of as far out to the side of the Amex text on it. But yeah, I just think it's such a clean kit. It's inspired by the 1983 Cup Final kit. Again, it's another club that maybe doesn't see the success very consistently, celebrating a big moment in their history. It's a bit of a random time to do it, 43 years on, but never mind. For me, it's a really smart kit, and yeah, with the exception of a tiny change to the cuffs, could have been even higher. And yeah, shocked you didn't like it, to be honest. Thought that'd have been right up your street.
No, it really isn't. Because for me, that it doesn't look like a Brighton kit for me. That's as I mentioned last. Just looking at the sponsor, I hadn't noticed that, and that's now going to bug me. It's not as if they've got. It's not as if they've got a brand new sponsor and didn't know how big the logo was going to be.
Yeah.
Surely they would have known American Express. They could have kept that. That's made it even more frustrating. It is
really annoying. I hadn't until I'd actually mentioned it just there. I hadn't actually noticed how far out to the side it was. Like I'd written down that it stops really high above it and starts again really quite far below it. But then there's one more stripe looking at it here that I think it could have continued all the way down. That's not but I know their old kits have it's been a total blank in the middle to fit the Amex. And at least the American Express logo changes colour. At least it's white. It's not I like how that annoys you, but the massive pink circle on a black and red kit in Bournemouth doesn't annoy you.
It's even more egregious on the away kit. I've just checked the away kit, and that's going to get bumped down my list for the away kit rundown.
Oh, I've not seen the away kit
because that's I think that's even worse on the white. But anyway.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I have seen the away. I know the one. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So Brighton getting a lot of love from Callum, and probably disrespect from me. Let's be honest. I am not a fan of it. But there we go. For me, I've gone from Man City at number 4. You weren't a fan of the gradient, were you? As I mentioned, I saw it. I think it was back in May it came out. So one of the really early releases, and immediately I sort of went, that has set the bar quite high, in my opinion, for a really good gradient. I think we saw Australia had a apparent gradient at the World Cup that we didn't actually see. That was a humdinger, in my opinion. Phil quite liked it, but I think this is a really good gradient. Sky blue into white. I mean, it kind of goes. You don't have to think too hard for it to work. As I say, it was a long time contender for top spot throughout the summer. I think this is probably one of the best gradient kits that I've seen in quite a while. I like how there's a slight contrast with the collar and sleeve being in white to the blue. I think that works quite nicely. I agree with what you said about the monochrome badge. I don't know if that works as well. I mean, why do the monochrome? What does it add? I don't know, but I'm not as offended by this kit as you are. I think they could even start the gradient slightly higher up, above the Etihad logo, so it almost looks like they're on the clouds. I quite like it. I think actually Man City have got a good balance of kit. Puma have done well. Normally they're criticised on this pod, but let's give them some credit. I think the Man City kit is actually quite nice. I know you're not a fan, and that's okay, but I think it's quite nice. But it just misses out on my top 3 for me.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I'm not offended by it at all. It was more the badge, I think, for me that I can see why people might be annoyed at that, because I don't think I would want if I had it's got the rose of Manchester in it. Their away kit's really nice. It's got the bees through it, the Manchester bees. I'm a big fan of that. I think it's really relatable. I know why that's there. But for me, you've removed part of the are the identity, if we want to call it that, of Manchester and Man City by removing the colour from the rose that's on the badge. Or it is a rose, isn't it? Yeah. There. So yeah, I just think it makes it makes it too corporate almost, in my opinion. But I agree. Look, it's a really clean kit. I love the collar. I love the cuffs. I think the contrast of that is really nice. It kind of harks back to what you're saying about the match at Old Trafford between them and Man United with the retro kits for the Munich air disaster with the thick white collars and thick white cuffs. Really smart with some of the, I wish I could have bought one because it was really, really cool. So yeah, it's getting similar-ish to that in this kind of thickness of them. So yeah, it's a decent kit. There was nicer kits in my opinion.
Which is fair enough. So we're into our top three in our rundown. Who is in bronze position in your Premier League top 20?
I've gone for one that you did not like. I've gone for Liverpool. Now, I again spoke about it last week. I've written in my notes, yes, the design's from the 80s, but it's less in your face. And I think it comes from it's a darker shade of red. I liked the one. I had a look at the one that was inspired by it. I thought it was really nice. But yeah, the darker shade of red for me saves it because it's a little bit more. It's a bit more modern. There's a bit more of the kind of streetwear in it. But for me, I think all sponsors maybe are too big. But I think the sponsors maybe a little bit big to make it feel more like a streetweary kind of thing with that design. But the white piping on the collar, the white piping on the cuffs, and the fact they match. I'll say that again. Really nice design. And yeah, I love the kind of the geometric. Is it geometric? Let's call it geometric. The kind of the pattern through it and the kind of a little bit different, a little bit out there. And again, when you've got a kit that needs to be red and white, what more can you do? Well, they're adding more white with slightly different shapes, but it's a nod to something else. They're not trying to do something they've never done before. That obviously it's a massive risk like Newcastle. If they've never done something like that before, it's a big risk. It can go, if they have success in it, it might be an iconic kit. This is slightly more risky, but at least it's a nod that people can relate to. I am a big fan of it overall.
Yeah, and I actually think more people probably agree with you than me. I'm aware that I'm happy being an outsider for this one. It doesn't work for me, but I think a lot of people will like it. And that throwback, it doesn't work for me because the reds aren't the same. But for you, as you say, for you, it does. So that's perfectly fine. And your reasoning was very solid.
Thanks. I've tried my best for you,
mate. So for me at 3, I've gone for Leeds. I really like this kit, and the difference between it coming third and first is the fact they're going to be using white shorts with it. You've already mentioned the balance is really nice. The horizontal instead of vertical pinstripes. Mark 400 years of the Royal Charter for the City of Leeds. I don't know what that's got to do with the stripes. So I'm not buying the story, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I think it is a nice. It's a really nice kit. The shoulders are a really nice blue. You mentioned the Red Bull sponsor. If I was Leeds, I would have gone. Do you know what? Just to make this a little bit of celebration kit, could we put the Bulls in blue? It would get people talking. Obviously, your name is Red Bull, so it would be quite controversial, but the Bulls stand out a bit too much, and having a controversial logo in Red Bull probably doesn't help. But apart from that, I think it's a really, really nice kit. But as I say, apparently they're going to be wearing white shorts with it, and I just go, well, that ruins the whole. If you're going to do it, play. I know Leeds normally play on white, but if you put blue shorts in there, the whole flow would be beautiful. It would go straight to a number 1 if they're in blue shorts. Literally, having blue shorts would have made it the best kit for me this year. But the fact they're in white, maybe if it's white with the pattern going through, I don't think that would work as well. But if it's plain white, you just immediately lose that flow. So it's enough to dropped them down to third. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but I just it's like 95% there to be an incredible all the way through kit, and it just misses out.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I think like if manufacturers are wanting to keep fan bases on side, they cannot put Leeds in blue shorts for the home kit. I don't think it's too big a risk, too big a departure from what they used to. I think if it had been vertical pinstripes, you could have kept that pattern maybe going on the shorts potentially, or even maybe if you had made the three stripes different colours. Potentially, you could have
maybe if the middle one had been yellow, or yellow, even yellow shorts would have been like not great, but just something a little bit different. Like as I say, if you put yellow in the middle sleeve, yellow shorts, possibly, but it's so close to being fantastic, but it just misses out because of those white shorts. Are seemingly more egregious than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the end of our rundown of the top 20 kits, well, top 10 best kits in this year's Premier League. We've almost looked at all 20 of them. Just missing out on your top spot, Callum. Who is it?
It's Villa. I can't remember where they were on yours. But
down in 8th.
An 8th, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was this week or last week. But I love it. It's so clean. I love the collar. Like literally the one thing that I've written, and I've said this however many times over the last 2 episodes. The collar is great. The cuffs are great. If the cuff had the same slight bit of claret piping through it that the collar did, it would be even better. I don't think it would have put it above my number 1, but it would have been even better. It's so clean. There's such a big risk with a sponsor. If a sponsor comes in and ruins that, I'm going to be gutted. It's again spoken about before about the Villa kits have to be claret, and they have to be claret and blue. What they've historically always had is claret with blue sleeves. This is a departure from that, but the trade-off is that the Adidas stripes are they're thicker anyway because that's what Adidas are doing just now. But they're in blue, so they've still got that kind of going down the sleeve feel of it. Mm-hmm. The Adidas logo's in blue. The badge is maybe the one bit that I'm like, bit of a risk because City did it. They've made it monochrome. Villa have done it, but I actually think the Villa badge of the line is really smart anyway. So it still works, and it's so very in keeping with how clean a kit it is. So yeah, it was one of those that I think I saw John McGinn in it. Now, if I see John McGinn in a lot of things, I fall in love with him anyway. But I saw John McGinn in it, and I was like, I'm a big fan of that. So yeah, and the more I've looked into it, more I like it. It's inspired from the 60s. Again, I've not looked at the kits it's meant to be inspired by, but I'll trust them that it's true. So yeah, I think the balance they've got, and you mentioned the balance between the claret and the blue on it, I think really works. I don't know if there's a button on the bit of the collar at the V of the collar. I don't know if there's a button there. It doesn't look like there is. Mm-hmm. It's maybe a bit odd. The more you look at it, the more you're like, there's a random rectangle there. But no, I don't think it detracts from the kit at all. I think it's very smart, and if a sponsor comes and kills it, I'll be so sad.
So Villa just missed out on top spot for Callum. For me, just missed out on top spot, I've gone for Arsenal. I think it's quite a clean Arsenal kit. I mentioned that there's going to be a reference to the architecture. You mentioned it already, the Emirates architecture on the collar and sleeve. It's a nice little thing, although it does need explaining why it's there because it's 20 years since the Emirates. Needs a little bit of unpacking, which for collar and sleeve design, is that worth it? I agree. If it had been put into the pattern through the body, maybe that would be nice as well. Even though just at the bottom of the kit, just a bit of trim at the bottom of the kit. But I really like the two-tone on the Adidas sleeve. We're seeing more of this Adidas just pushing out a wee bit. They've also gone for the away trefoil. They're just pushing the boundaries a wee bit of what they're letting go and what we're seeing. I think having the two-tone colours are nice. The reference back to the Highbury kit, it's very nice, and you can go wrong with an Arsenal kit, but you have to do a lot wrong to go really wrong with an Arsenal kit, probably. It's a nice, clean kit. Subtle, but nice. I'm surprised they haven't, as champions, done a wee bit of gold detailing anywhere, but that's okay. I don't know if it would have worked, even if just around the badge. It might be from the picture I'm looking at that a wee bit more would have been nice, but I think it's a nice kit. It's a strong title defence kit, so as a home kit, it's nice. Without giving too much away, I'm a big fan of their away kit, but their home kit is a nice clean kit, which, as we mentioned, there's enough kits in here that are sort of middle of the road that having a really strong, solid kit can get you, well, as high as number 2 on my rundown.
Yeah, I agree. Really good point with the gold, actually. I think I hadn't thought about that. Also, they're going to have the gold Premier League badge all seasons. If you know what colour that's going to be, you could have incorporated that into and into anything. I think anything on the front that different could have made that kit better. Like whether it's the pattern, if you're going to keep it with the blank red pattern, if you're put gold in. Like maybe it would have to be fully related to the league win, but if you do that every year, if everyone does that every year, it would get a bit boring kind of thing. But it's anything on the front of the kit that takes it away from being just your bog standard Arsenal kit could have made that higher for me. So yeah, agree.
Yeah. So I'm trying to run through all the kit the clubs have mentioned, and I cannot figure out who you have missed off. So please put me out of my misery. What is your favourite kit this year?
Well, if there's any consolation, I can't remember who you've missed off either. So for me, it's Sunderland. I love it. I have actually, in my notes, I have tagged Hull City and said, this is how you do a retro-inspired kit. A retro badge that doesn't have an extra A in it that Hull have. But yeah, it's like the stripes are all the same width, right, for a start. They're not too thick that the Hull's got. It's just a good old fashioned red and white striped kit. Through the design, I can't remember if you mentioned that the S through the design is in the shape of the FA Cup handles. Like it's a nod back to that as well. And I was like, look, yeah, it needs a bit of explaining, but once you see it, you're like, oh right, okay, fair enough. And you're never going to see it on the telly, but it's something you can relate to as a non-fan that adds another level to the kit, I think. So yeah, it's an actual nod to something unlike the Mist from the Trent that Nottingham Forest playing about. The two colours on the collar. I think the sleeve, the stripes in the sleeve go all the way down, which is fine because there's no cuff as such. The stripes go all the way down, which kind of saves it. No sponsor, and if it stays that way, I could see why Sunderland fans would think it's one of their best kits ever. I think it's so clean. The badge within the shield. Now, I'm not usually too big a fan of normal badges in a shield. Our team have had that in the past, and I've not liked it because so often it can look like other teams that do have shield badges. But I think this still works. I think it works really well. And even on the inside of the collar at the back, we were talking about Brighton had random writing, or not random, but they had writing on the inside of the collar. Sunderland have got that, and it's the starting 11 from their 1937 Cup win or something like that. So like nice little touches like that again you can relate to. Literally the only thing I've written is that maybe if it's going to go retro, those retro kits that we spoke about of Man United, Man City, a thick white cuff could have maybe added to it. So if you could maybe have gone like quite bold in that kind of retro style with the cuffs, but I don't think it would have necessarily changed the outcome of it. It doesn't make it a better kit. It's just something that they could have maybe done otherwise to play into that retro vibe. But no, I absolutely love this kit. If I happen upon it, I will very much be keeping it. I think it's very smart.
Yeah, definitely. You better be quick because it's been very popular.
Yeah.
In Sunderland, for me, I've actually surprised myself with this one. I put together this list and put this team quite high up, and they haven't really been rocked since reevaluating things. it's Oxen coming in strong with the Hull City kit. I don't know if it's because we haven't had Hull in the Prem for a while. I'm a sucker for an orange kit. Colours that we don't see very often. Think South Korea's purple kit at the World Cup. Something a bit different. I really like the Blackpool kit. Is one that is ingrained into my memory from when they played in the Premier League, because you don't see a Blackpool kit very often. You don't see an orange kit like that very often. So I think partly it's because we haven't seen Hull for a while in the Prem. But then they've come in with a really strong offering, going with a local brand. I think it's a bold move, but I think it's paid off. I quite like that the stripes are bold. We've seen Hull before go full on tiger, irrational stripe. We've had them quite thin. They could have went for a pinstripe, Callum, but I think that they've gone bold. I like that they've gone bold. They've gone for the fatter stripes. It's another tribute to the 78-79 season. That central badge, band down the middle is really nice. I like the revamped badge, even though there's got an extra letter in there. It must be what they were known as in the 70s. That's the only thing I can think of. But you were just mentioning there the Sunderland kit having the thick trim on the sleeve and the collar. That's exactly what Hull have got.
Yeah.
And they didn't need it, but I actually think it completely rounds off the kit. In the picture I'm looking at, they have got it in a long sleeve version, which I'm not so keen on. But the short sleeve version, I think, looks really, really nice. It's just, I think seeing a brand you don't see that often come in pretty strong is great. I like their away kit as well, to be fair. Not as much as this home kit. I think it's a really smart home kit. And I'm looking forward to seeing this on the field. It's a really bold, strong offering. First time that Oxen are going to be in the Premier League. It's only the 5th football club in their portfolio.
Oh, wow.
So they have an opportunity.
By any chance?
Possibly. They possibly do.
Used to that.
But I think you mentioned Man City and going corporate. You don't see the local brands enough. Yeah. So for Hull to reach the pinnacle and go, right, actually, we're going to promote a brand that started in the marketplace of Hull. Let's give them that platform. And then Oxen Sports have gone, right, let's take this opportunity and deliver something really solid. I get what you say about a rugby kit. For me, I don't see it that way, but I think it's a really, really smart kit. I think they've done really well. I'm looking forward to seeing it on the field. Again, as you mentioned with the Villa kit, if they get a sponsor, that could ruin it. You'd have to get a really good sponsor. If you stuck the Vitality circle around it.
Even you would see that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would see that one. But I think if you get a nice... What you're looking for, if you get a local brand from that same marketplace, happy days. As long as it's not too in your face. But I think it's a really smart kit. So well done, Hull and Oxen Sports, in my opinion. So I've gone Hull as number 1. Callum, remind us of your top 10 of this season's Premier League kits.
So for me, in 10th was Coventry, 9th Arsenal, 8th was Leeds, 7 Man United, 6 Fulham, 5 the sponsorless Chelsea, 4th Brighton with the space too big for their sponsor, 3rd was Liverpool, 2nd Aston Villa, and number 1 for me, with added points for being the kit that came up when I googled Newcastle home kit, is Sunderland.
Oh, that's a fantastic bit of trolling as well. For me, my top 10 home Premier League kits, we have Bournemouth at 10, Brentford at 9, Villa at 8, Ipswich at 7, 6 is Sunderland, 5 is Man United, 4 is Man City, Leeds and those white shorts, they dropped to 3rd, 2 is Arsenal, and for me, Hull back in the top flight and straight in at number 1 in my run order of the best home kits from this year's Premier League season. If you have an opinion I'm sure you do. We would love to hear from you. Do you agree with Callum that it's Sunderland is the best kit of the season? Are you a fan of the Hull kit? Are you a fan of a kit that hasn't been mentioned? Do let us know. You can drop us a message on socials, fire a comment below, or find us by dropping us an email, kitormisspod@gmail.com. Do remember to give us a like, a follow, or subscribe. We would love to interact with you as well. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Callum, thank you for joining us, for sitting in for Phil. It's been great running through all 20 Premier League clubs with you over the last 2 weeks. Thanks very much for your time. Great to see you.
Thank you.